Do you ever feel like you have to be perfect to manifest anything or everything that you desire? Like if you have one bad thought or a negative thought, or you have a bad day, that it's all gone to shit and there's no point in continuing. Well, I have a tidbit, an insight, something for you. That is a bunch of BS. It's a myth. And this idea and concept of perfectionism or needing to be perfect, it does much more harm than good. I don't know if it really does any good at all. So it definitely holds you back. It actually keeps the things that you want further away from you, and taking longer to get to you as well. So that is what we're going to talk about in today's episode. We're going to smash this myth about needing to be perfect to manifest anything that you want, and that you have to have all of your shit together to do that as well, because that is absolutely not true. And being messy and your authentic self is really the most direct way of manifesting the things that you want, because then you're focusing on authenticity and how you want to feel instead of how you look doing the things or taking the steps. So let's get going. Hello and welcome back to the Rebel Manifestors podcast. I'm Patti. I am your host and manifestation coach here, and we are here to tear things down that are holding you back from manifesting your desires, your ideal life, and here to help you do, as we tear those things down, then manifest the things that you do want. And my primary focus is by helping you become the person who is already living that amazing life, who is already having those amazing adventures, or who is already experiencing all those things that are on your vision board. So today we're getting real, or talking about perfectionism and how it's time to let that go, and how to also know when we fall back into that, because we don't just learn things once and then we're done. It repeats again when we level up or when we do something else. So we're going to be talking about that, letting perfectionism go. And because it's also a buzzkill, right? This idea of needing to be perfect and maintain or achieve perfection before we can have the things we want, that doesn't feel good. It's a buzzkill. So if it doesn't feel good in that sense, it's definitely keeping you back. So the myth specifically, just to clear it up, so you guys know what I am talking about, the myth that we are clearing up is that you have to be perfect or have everything in line, have all your shit together before you can manifest the life that you want, or anything that you want at all. And like I alluded to earlier as we got started, that actually does more to keep the things you want away from you. It holds them off at a distance, or it takes longer because we're so focused on that, on being perfect to receive or get, and do the things that we want to be experiencing. And also, as I started in the last episode, there will be a Rebel challenge at the end of this episode that I'll share with you, that will give you an activity, something to do this next week, or just whenever, keep it in your toolbox that you can do and fall back on. But it ties to this week's topic of perfectionism. So let's see. I think I've got that. So what is the perfectionism myth? Let's see. The myth is that unless you've gotten all together, that you won't get the things that you want. You won't get the house that you want, the job that you want, the relationship that you want, unless you have done, one example, you've done all the healing and you've worked on yourself and you've made yourself so perfect that you can finally have the thing that you want. Because really, when you focus on the reasons that you don't have something, or just the fact that you don't have it, that pushes it away as well. And then I think that energy feeds, well, I need to be perfect. I need to be now the perfect version or the best version of me so that I can finally be worthy of, or that I can deserve these things that I want because, I have been such a shit show in the past, or my life has been, a shit show as well. So it holds it off. That is the myth, that we need to do something to achieve perfection, or as close to perfection as we can, to have some level of success in manifesting. So, one of the examples, or some of the examples that I jotted down, is feeling guilty. I talked about this as well. Feeling guilty for having a bad day or a negative thought, feeling guilty that you did not maintain positivity, that you didn't stay positive all day long, that you allowed a negative thought in your mind, that you allowed a doubt into your mind, right? Like I have said, and we'll say again, I'm sure, that a key component of manifesting the things that we want, attracting them, whatever word works for you, is that we have to believe that it's possible. We need to also believe that we are deserving of it. But that doesn't mean we can't have it without that. It is something that amplifies the manifestation process, and it is important, and it is key to develop and strengthen and really tap into that belief. But we are also, or I shouldn't say but, and we are also human beings. We have a range of emotions. We have thoughts and ideas and things spinning around our head all the time. So yes, we are going to have moments of doubt. We are going to have negative thoughts. We can't maintain this perfectionism. And I don't know if that is an aspect of perfectionism that you might have been aware of, or that you had even considered, because I think a lot of times we also think of perfectionism as this external version, right? Like what we look like, what other people, do they perceive us as perfect? Do they perceive us as, looking like we deserve the job? Do they perceive us as ready? So that's a lot. At least I think, my thinking anyway, is that that's maybe the first thing that comes to mind. And maybe that's because that's the first thing that would have come to mind for me. So I did want to also touch on that this internal perfectionism is also something that fits in that perfectionism criteria. We need to have perfect thoughts. We need to be perfectly positive and upbeat and perfectly, grateful all the time, never having doubts, never having fears, never having crappy thought like this isn't possible, or it's too hard, or whatever. It's not about us not having those thoughts. It's about the work and the practice of becoming aware of them, catching them, and then reframing them, or doing whatever we need to, getting them out of our system, getting them out of our head, acknowledging them and saying, it's okay. I see you doubt. I see you fear. I see you, negative thought, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to reframe it. I'm going to take action anyway through the fear. It's the fact that we don't let those now stop us or derail us permanently, or that we derail us completely and feel like it's impossible. We might get derailed. We will get derailed for moments at a time, some shorter, some longer. But as long as we make the practice and we make the habit of coming back to the center, back to the belief, back to the gratitude, back to the positivity, when we go away from it. And we will go away from it because it's part of our range of emotions and experiences that we have as human beings. And before I move on to how it blocks, also the constant striving, the constant trying to maintain or achieve this perfection also leads to burnout. It leads to frustration. And that also is when we start thinking, or when we believe or say, or whatever, that manifestation doesn't work. This manifesting thing isn't working. I don't know, or I'm doing it wrong. Because the truth is, we are, as human beings, continuously manifesting. On default, when we're not doing it intentionally, when we're not doing it on purpose. And so when we just stay in those thoughts, those negative thoughts, those like the disbelief, the frustration, the doubt, that's the word I'm looking for, doubt. When we stay in that, then we manifest more of that. We manifest more evidence of that because that's what we're attracting. So trying to maintain the perfectionism holds it off, but also being aware that we're not being stuck and not staying in those undesired thoughts. We're never going to be 100% of anything, right? I mean, like, you think about it before you started doing this work, or you started personal development or manifesting intentionally. Even if you were in a period of time that you were mostly doubting or thinking negative thoughts, you still had moments, right, that made you smile. You had something that made you laugh. You had something that you had a positive thing to say about. There are those moments. So now we just want to flip that script where we're mostly in the desired higher vibe or, good feeling emotions. And those other ones pop in every now and then instead of being the norm. So it's just flipping that perspective and the energy that we're in. So since manifestation is not about perfectionism at all, the real key component, because I talked about belief and that being a key component, believing that it's possible, believing that we're worthy, but really I think the most important, I will say, at least in this moment, I'm saying, but I think I will stand by this, that the most important component of manifesting is the feeling that drives us to take action, to manifest the things we want, the feeling that drives us to keep going when things get hard, the feeling that brings us back to center when we have those negative thoughts and the doubts and the fears. And so the feeling is what we want to connect with as often as we can. So if the feeling that you're after is safety or security or happiness or joy, whatever the feeling is, then what can you do? What can you have in your toolbox, in your arsenal, that will help you feel that way when you catch yourself feeling cruddy, when you catch yourself having a doubt? And when we choose a feeling or we are guided by that feeling, then we get more things that make us feel that way. And I talked about it with the vision board episode that I did previously, the last episode. It's like, yes, we can have and want all these tangible external things. And always there's a feeling attached to that. If we want a new car, why do we want a new car? Is it for a sense of freedom? Is it for a sense of, feeling a certain way, like I can afford this car? Or is it simply for a feeling of mobility, where you can access longer distances? Is it for fun? Are you wanting a car for fun and you can have more adventure? And it can be more than one of these things, but everything we want externally is connected and derives from a feeling. So it's up to us to identify what that feeling is. And the same exact thing, like we can have 5 different people who all want to manifest a new house or build a house, and they can all have 5 different feelings that are driving that. One could be safety and security. One could be stability. One could be, I'm trying to think of a word and it is not coming to me. I was trying to think it with the car example too, like reaching a certain level in life. Like I have reached this level of affluence, maybe that's like affluence. And so I can have this pride in being able to provide and have these things or get these things. So all of these different emotions could be tied to 5 different people, like I said, wanting the exact same thing, but for 5 different reasons. 5 different feelings might be motivating that. And so trying for that perfectionism really disconnects us from that feeling. Trying to be perfect and look perfect and act perfect and think perfectly is not heart-based at all. It's up here in our head, the thought and the belief that we need to be perfect, but we need to connect with the feeling in our heart. And so when you catch yourself disconnected from the feeling and having all these thoughts about what am I doing wrong? Why is it taking so long? I'm not doing this right. Then you know that you need to recheck. You need to check in with yourself and connect back to the feeling. And that's why I also always practice and teach and say that we need to have things that make us feel that way in the moment. So when we find ourselves disconnected from the feeling of joy, from the feeling of happiness, from the feeling of stability, because we don't yet have the outside thing, what can I do right now to feel stable? Could I do mountain pose? And that's a very simplistic example, but that's why it works, because I want to feel stable. Let me do something that makes me feel stable. Mountain pose. I mean, it's simply standing and feeling stable, but you can connect to that feeling of stability, and that continues to move you closer to your dream. Can you practice standing on one foot? And yes, you might not be balanced and stable at first, but you can see the progress that you're making. You can see that, okay, maybe I can't stand stable, maybe I can't be or feel stable on one foot right now, but if I support myself on a wall, that I can now feel stable while standing on one foot. So I need some support. I need to do some things that will help me get there. I need to see where it is that I'm not feeling stable and what can I do to feel that way. And so you can find an infinite, I love this word, infinite. There are infinite numbers of ways that you can do and find and try to feel the way you want to feel as you're moving towards the bigger end result manifestation. So as you manifest the feeling more and more, you are becoming that person more and more who feels that way. And so you will then attract that end result. So I hope that made sense. That was kind of a long-winded way of saying that. And so the universe responds to that energy. It responds to the feeling. And the feeling then helps us to reframe the thoughts. And then our thoughts help and support the feeling as opposed to taking away from it and distracting from it. Let's see. A solution to perfectionism, because that is also very end result focused. I need to be perfect to have this end result, is to focus on progress over perfection. So this example that I just gave of being balanced, right? If I right now start trying to balance on one foot, and I can't do it, so I need to support myself on a wall or on a rail. And for those of you, I just think it's so funny that I do this. If you're listening to this as opposed to watching it on video, I am actually touching the wall here, the back of this wall here when I'm saying that, even though I'm sitting down. I'm like using that as an example. So if you're watching on video, that's what I'm doing when I reach over. And if you're not, well, then you got a little bit of insight. You can see it on the YouTube video or the video associated with Spotify if you really wanted to see that I'm like reaching out into nowhere, but I'm really touching a wall. So focusing on progress, using that example. I can't stand, I'm not balancing, I'm not able to balance on one foot yet without support. But the more you do it and you focus on strengthening or, tightening your core, and you get used to improving your posture as you do that, and then just focusing on, keeping your eye on a specific spot, doing all these little things that support and improve the balance, then you can focus on that progress. Oh, I was able to balance for 5 seconds before I needed to touch the wall or put my other foot down. I was able to not feel as wobbly. I feel stronger and I feel able. And then you increase the time that you can feel stable without touching a wall, without needing support, until at some point you're doing like, what is a tree pose with no problem at all, balancing on one foot, pulling your other foot up like a tree branch. I don't know if that's right. I do tree pose, but I don't know if that's the right visual. So focusing on the progress that you're making instead of the fact that you're not perfect, but you're moving closer to being better at it. Your authenticity is magnetic. If you are excited about it, if it's something that you truly want. And this is where I always, or where I talk about, or why I talk about the fact that your desires and goals and things that you want truly need to be authentically and genuinely yours, not dreams that others have for us, not things that you think or believe you're supposed to want. And or you had something that you really did want, but now you've shifted away from that. It's no longer the thing that you want. We are allowed to change our minds. And so that's the authenticity, right? This authenticity of this is truly what I want. I'm not doing this for someone else. I'm not doing this to impress someone else. That might be a result. You might impress someone by doing and having the things that you want, but making sure or getting to a place or a perspective or a point of view where you see that you're doing it for you, that it's something that you truly want. And embracing the fact that it's going to be imperfect. We're not going to be perfect getting there. We're not going to be, great at things, or we're not going to look perfect, because what is the standard of perfect? Your standard or definition of perfect might be completely opposite of someone else's standard or definition of perfect. And my personal example in this striving for perfection really has nothing to do with the external things at this point. It has to do with this becoming, right? This becoming the person who has the life that I want. And it's this, I don't know, I guess it was exemplified for me, or I was made the way I construed the story and things, just growing up, that I had to always be presentable when I was out and about, having like my makeup done, having my hair done right, always, having like, not coiffed, because I would say I would never be like a coiffed or kind of like that type of, but like I always had to have this persona or this image going out, like have your makeup on. You can't go out without, getting your face ready, having your face put together. And so for me, that led to actually me not liking for quite a long time how I looked without makeup. It's like, oh, I always even if I was going to be home, knowing I wasn't going to go anywhere at all, I had to have like, at least basic makeup on. And so I didn't like the way that I looked without makeup. And I knew like my skin was good. I didn't have skin problems. I just happened to be someone who has like naturally occurring darker circles under my eyes. And comments would be made about that, like, and things other just like, be sure like when, and this is just one person, like several people, and you might be familiar with that, say, oh, be sure to put lipstick on or something like that if you're going to go do this, or if you're going to go do that, and I have no problem. I love lipstick. I have lipstick. But through this process of realizing that I don't need to be perfect or look perfect, I actually am now in a place where I'm like, I like the way I look without makeup. Like, yes, I still have those dark circles, and I might probably still put some, what's the word? Concealer on, if, maybe. But I have gotten to a point where I get on Zoom calls and I moderate live calls for a team that I'm on. And so I will be on the Zoom, with a messy bun and with, a sweatshirt or something, and not full makeup on. I will attend team meetings because I have to attend team meetings at earlier times for me. I'm on the West Coast, and the team meeting is most of them are on the East Coast. So it's 9:00 for them, 6 a.m. for me. And so I attend team meetings with not a full face of makeup on, and I still have my hair in a messy bun. And this belief of perfectionism, so to speak, like where I needed to be fully put together before being seen in any public capacity. I've let that go, and I can say, see pictures of myself and see video of myself and look in the mirror and say, you know what, my face is fine. I like my face. This is the face that I was given, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's great. It's mine. And having makeup on adds to that or enhances it or just makes it look a little bit, more like my eyes pop more or whatever the case is. But underneath, I like how my face looks without makeup. And a few years ago, I would not have been able to say that and mean it. I would have said, I want to feel that way. Or if I said it, I wouldn't really mean it. But now I do. And so I've let go of that aspect of perfectionism. People can see me without makeup. And if they don't like it, that's okay. They don't need to. They don't need to approve of the fact that I go out without makeup or that I go on screen with less than a full or, put my full face on. I'm okay with it. And that's that authenticity and letting go of perfectionism because I'm good with it. So it doesn't matter what other people think, right? So that is I don't want to say simplistic, but that's like my basic example of this perfectionism that we might be holding on to and how I might not necessarily have looked at that as perfectionism because it was a story that kind of developed that it didn't have the word perfect in it, but that was the underlying current. You have to look good. You have to look put together or, I don't know if perfect, if I would apply perfect, but so maybe it fits for you, maybe it doesn't. That was my example that I included in here. So letting go of that has led to liking myself more and also attracting friendships that support that. So I have a great group of friends now who also do that, who also, can show up without makeup and who have never made me feel like, oh, I'm not put together enough to be part of this friend group, or I'm not put together enough to go participate in an activity because I didn't have my full face on. It's more important to me go out and do that stuff than have a full face of makeup on. So messy action is better than no action. And that perfectionism is a key thing that keeps us from taking action. I'm not perfect yet, so I can't take action towards that. So in my very basic example that I just shared with you, it's like, oh, I can't go out yet. I can't go out with you guys because I don't have my face on. And if it would have been like a last minute thing, or they had called when I wasn't yet ready, and I might have actually missed out. And I have in the past not gone to something because, oh, I don't have time to get ready. I'm not put together enough to go. And so I've let go of that now. It's not a big deal. I'd rather go do the thing. And a perfect example of this in action was in the fall, I believe, one of my amazing friends that I have attracted, right, that are a beautifully supportive group of friends, called that day, I think earlier the evening before, asking, was it the evening before? Yeah. If I wanted to go to a concert the next day. And so I said, yes, that would be fabulous. And the day of the concert, since I hadn't planned for it ahead of time, I had a certain level of work and some appointments that were later in the day. And so when I was done with that, I had, I don't know, an hour-ish, to get ready. And I changed my clothes, got some, some clothes that I felt good in going to the concert, but I didn't worry about having to have my hair perfect. And oh, my face wasn't completely done. I was like, oh, this is good. I'm comfortable, like the clothes, and let's go enjoy the concert. Whereas definitely when I was younger, my 20s and 30s, maybe into my 40s, probably, I would have been like, oh man, I would have either come back and worked late because I would have stopped working early to give myself time to get ready. And I'd have to have be completely put together, as they say. Whereas this now, it was more important for me to go and enjoy the concert. And it was a kick-ass concert. So focusing on perfection will keep you from taking action. And I did say here, this messy action is better than no action. And that makes me think of a messy bun. Today, I don't have a messy bun. I have a ponytail. My hair is in a ponytail. But I think of this messy bun as like what we do when we're going to get shit done, right? Like, okay, hold on. Let me just put my hair up in this bun and out of the way. It's what I put my hair in when I'm going to work out. Or it's what I put my hair in and I'm going to clean house. Just, the messy bun, and it's get things done. Get things done time. It's not about looking good. It's about just what can I do to make it easier for me to get things done. So a great way, a great way, a tip and activity to help you focus on progress over perfection is to focus on small, consistent steps. If you're going to start a new habit as this person moving you in the direction of becoming the person living and experiencing the life that you want, stack it with another habit you've already got in place. So if you're going to take, like I started taking supplements, using supplements a while back, so that I wouldn't forget and just left them there in the counter in the cabinet. I started taking them when I was getting my first cup of coffee ready. I always get my first cup of coffee ready. I always have a cup of coffee in the morning. So I put them next to the coffee pot so that I would take them then instead of, I don't know, trying to remember to do it every day. I did it at a time that I was already doing something consistently. So those types of steps, habit stacking, what is a small thing you can do consistently to help you keep going? Like putting your workout clothes out the night before, if you're going to work out in the morning, or taking them with you to work, or having them in your car if you're going to do maybe outdoor activities like hiking or walking or whatever the case is. Doing things that set you up for success. Small, consistent steps that move you in the direction of your desires. You can also do things like journaling to help you get through the doubts. Write the doubts out, get them out of your head. And also, when you start focusing on that perfectionism and looking for a way to focus on progress over perfection, celebrate in that same journal or journaling the wins that you've had. The fact that you were able to stand and balance on one leg 3 seconds longer than you were the day before or the week before. The small little wins count and they add up. They're getting you to that big win. So journaling the self-doubts so that you acknowledge them and don't push them down. Don't let them really take root. And then celebrating little wins. So that's where I'm going to leave it for the perfectionism, progress over perfection. Let go of the knowing that perfectionism is the biggest thing that keeps us from taking action, and being messy and not great at something when we start is also part of the process. That's how we can celebrate those small wins along the way, because we don't start out great, but we get better and we get great the more consistent we are. So this brings me to this week's Rebel Challenge. And this challenge is to release and rewrite, which was basically what I just kind of pointed out to you with the journaling practice. But this release and rewrite specifically is geared towards myths and beliefs that do not serve you. So a myth, like the one that I spoke today about, that I need to be perfect in order to manifest the things that I want, and write down the opposite of that, reframe that. Progress over perfection will get me towards the things that I want. Focusing on perfection keeps me from taking action. So jot down these things, write down the myth or belief about manifesting that you identify that's been holding you back, and replace it with an empowering truth. That's the gist of it. Identify, write down the myth or the belief that is not helping you, and then replace it with an empowering statement or a different story, a reframe. And if you really find it hard to believe the opposite, to believe that it's possible, then you can write down sentences with a bridge in there. So instead of trying to force your brain to believe that you are worthy or to believe that you are capable, you can write, I am willing to believe that I am capable. I am willing to believe that it is possible. I am willing to see evidence and that I am moving in the right direction. I am willing to see and acknowledge the progress and knowing that will move me to perfection. I welcome the opportunity to get better. I welcome the opportunity to attract resources or to attract support. So building in these bridge words, like I'm willing to, I welcome, I'm open to, helps your brain let go of control. Because if we try to force a belief, like we really don't believe yet in our heart that we're worthy of something, and trying to say, I am worthy, where you don't believe it, our brain kind of digs in the heels, right? And like starts to push back. And then it really has a worsening effect. It makes it worse. So building in these key bridge statements, like I'm willing, I'm open to, what was the other one I said? I'm willing to, I'm open to, I think there was a third one I just said a few minutes ago, but see, that's how it goes. It comes in and out. It doesn't have to be perfect. I know it's on the recording. So, and if you want to encourage others, you want encouragement, you want to share your journey, put to stories or make a social media post and then do hashtag rebel manifestors. And then that way, when I look up the hashtag and I see it, I will share your stories. I will encourage you. I will cheer you on and celebrate your small wins, your progress over perfection. And we can all do that together. If you see the hashtag and if you see someone else if you come across it, celebrate them as well. Or if you see someone, if I share something on my stories, give them a shout out, go to the post and celebrate them. And if you don't want to do like the social media, if you're not that, you can share in the comments wherever you're watching or listening to this and do the same thing. Hashtag Rebel Manifestors and share it. And we will also cheer you on and, keep making progress over perfection. So releasing the myth that we need to be perfect to manifest our dream life or anything we desire is what we've talked about today. So I think that is about it. Perfectionism isn't key to manifesting. Alignment and authenticity are. Release the myth, embrace the truth, and watch how your energy shifts. And don't forget to do the Rebel Challenge throughout the week or whenever you catch yourself leaning into a limiting belief or a doubt. And yes, if you want to go back and listen to last week's episode, I talked about rebellious vision boarding and different ways, a different perspective on that as well. And I think that's it for this week. I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.